All right, strap yourselves in, because today we're going deep on this wild Japanese internet frenzy.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating case, you know?
So we've got fitness trackers, conspiracy theories, and the 2011 Tushoku earthquake all mixed up.
Right.
It all starts with Strava.
Oh yeah, that app.
You know, the one that maps all your workouts and shares them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right around the anniversary of the earthquake, some mysterious glowing lines popped up on Strava's heat map.
In the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
You got it. And, I mean, come on, how can people not jump to conclusions?
Well, especially when you consider that Google Maps blacked out that exact same area at the same time.
Talk about suspicious, right? It's like they were practically begging for conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like they wanted people to connect the dots.
And connect the dots they did.
Yeah.
The internet went wild with theories.
Secret underwater military base.
Ringo. That was the most popular one.
Right, right. It makes a kind of sense though, doesn't it? I mean, what else would be moving in straight lines like that on the ocean floor?
Right. It's like something straight out a spy movie.
Yeah.
Except for one tiny detail.
Ah, yes.
Japanese military bases usually ban smartphones with GPS.
For security reasons, yeah.
So how could those Strava lines be from military personnel?
Well, that's the thing about conspiracy theories, isn't it?
What's that?
They often ignore inconvenient facts.
I guess when you really want to believe something, you kind of find a way.
Exactly. And this case is a perfect example of that.
So if it wasn't a secret military base, what was it? Don't leave me hanging.
Well, let's just say the truth is a lot less exciting than a secret underwater lair.
Come on, spill the beans. What was it?
It was cruise ships.
Cruise ships? Really?
Yep. Turns out a lot of those mega ships have gyms and running tracks right on deck.
Ah, so passengers were just using Strava to track their workouts while sailing.
Exactly. And because cruise ships follow set routes, their workouts show up as those straight lines on the heat map.
Wow. So all this internet frenzy over a secret base. And it was just tourists trying to burn off those buffet calories.
That's right. It just goes to show you got to be careful what you believe online.
Seriously. It's like a game of digital telephone where the information gets passed around and distorted until the original meaning is completely lost.
Yeah, and in this case, a bunch of cruise ship passengers accidentally became the stars of a global conspiracy theory.
Makes you wonder what other seemingly harmless activities could spark the next internet frenzy, right?
Absolutely. The possibilities are endless.
Well, this whole Strava saga got me thinking about another way technology intersects with anxieties, especially in Japan.
Oh.
I'm talking about the messaging app Line.
Ah, line. Yeah, it's practically a way of life over there.
And one feature in particular always seems to spark debate. The dreaded read receipts.
Those little notifications that tell you the other person has seen your message, even if they haven't replied.
Yep, those are the ones. They could be a source of major anxiety for some people.
But you know, in Japan, those read receipts were actually designed with a specific purpose in mind. Earthquake preparedness.
Oh, that's right. It's so easy to forget that in a country like Japan, where earthquakes are a constant threat, the ability to quickly confirm the safety of loved ones is essential.
Exactly. So, while the read feature might seem intrusive or annoying in other cultures, in Japan, it provides a vital sense of reassurance during emergencies.
Makes you wonder how other seemingly harmless technologies might actually reflect deeper cultural anxieties, right?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it?
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up part one of our deep dive into this strange and fascinating corner of the internet.
Sounds good. Yeah, it really makes you think about how technology kind of reflects our deepest fears and anxieties, right?
Totally. But, you know, speaking of anxieties, those read receipts online can be a bit much, even in a non-emergency situation.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been there. You send a message and you see that it's been read, but then crickets.
Ugh, it's the worst. It's like this weird digital waiting game.
Totally. It's like, are they ignoring me? Are they thinking of a response? What's going on?
Exactly. And in a culture that values indirect communication as much as Japan does, that silence can be deafening.
It is. It is. It's almost like a rejection, you know, even if that's not the intention at all.
It's like the digital equivalent of making eye contact with someone across a crowded room and then having them quickly look away.
Oof. Yeah, I get that. It makes you feel like you've done something wrong.
And it kind of feeds into this broader societal anxiety around instant communication and the expectation of immediate responses.
Absolutely. It's like we're all expected to be constantly connected and available, ready to reply at a moment's notice.
It's exhausting. Like, can't we just enjoy a moment of peace without feeling pressured to respond to every notification?
Right. Whatever happened to just, letting a message sit for a while and responding when you have the time and energy.
Exactly. It's like we've lost the art of slow communication.
And I think those read receipts just exacerbate that feeling. Like now you know the other person has seen your message, so the pressure to respond is even higher.
It's like a ticking time bomb of social anxiety.
Haha, I like that. It really captures the feeling, doesn't it?
It does. But you know what? Despite all the anxiety they can cause, those read receipts do have a silver lining, at least in the context of Japan.
Oh, absolutely. Like we were talking about before, in a country that's so prone to earthquakes, those little notifications can be a lifeline.
They can mean the difference between peace of mind and agonizing worry when a disaster strikes.
It's true. It's like a little digital beacon letting you know your loved ones are safe and sound.
So I guess you could say it's a classic case of technology being a double-edged sword.
It really is.
Yeah.
It can both amplify our anxieties and provide us with tools to cope with those
It
anxieties.
all depends on how we use it, right?
Exactly. It's up to us to decide whether technology controls us or we control technology.
So maybe the next time you see that dreaded read notification, instead of feeling anxious, take a moment to appreciate the ingenuity behind it.
And remember that sometimes even the most anxiety-inducing technologies can serve a greater purpose.
And hey, if all else fails, you can always just turn off those read receipts altogether.
There's always that option. But speaking of technology and how it reflects our anxieties, this whole Strava situation got me thinking about how, these kind of seemingly harmless apps can suddenly become entangled in like all these big societal anxieties.
Yeah, totally. Like we started off talking about fitness trackers and earthquakes, and now we're diving deep into the psychology of read receipts.
It's funny how these things, how they all connect, isn't it?
It really is. It shows how technology is like this mirror reflecting all our hopes and fears,
Mhm.
especially in a place like Japan where, they've got this history of natural disasters and this culture that's really sensitive to social cues.
It's true. It's true. And it makes you wonder, right? Like what other everyday technologies might suddenly become flashpoints for these kinds of anxieties.
Right. Like what's the next Strava heat map going to be? What's the next read receipt gonna freak everyone out?
It's hard to say,
Yes.
right? But it's something to think about for sure, especially as technology keeps evolving at this crazy pace.
Totally. And I think that's a good takeaway for our listeners, like be mindful of how you're using technology and how it's affecting you.
Yeah, absolutely. And be aware of the bigger picture too, like how technology is shaping our society and how it's interacting with our culture and our anxieties.
Well said. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into the strange and fascinating world of Japanese internet culture.
Yeah, it's been a ride.
It has. We've gone from conspiracy theories to cruise ship workouts to the psychology of read receipts.
It just goes to show you never know where a deep dive is going to
The
take you.
beauty of it,
It
right?
is. It is.
Yeah.
It's all about exploring and learning and just being open to new ideas.
Exactly. So to our listeners, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
And until next time, stay curious.
Yes.